Hey, what's up, guys? Good afternoon. Let's do a quick sound check. All right, Mirza Lorna Omer. Good to go. I'm going to get Camtasia going real quick. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about the fancy spreadsheet I got here for the scoring system. But before we jump into that, let me show you a couple trades we have open. So we are long Google, Amazon, and Procter & Gamble. And for Google here, we have the A+ on the 2-day and the 4-hour time frame. Amazon, we have it on the weekly and the 4-hour time frame. And for Procter & Gamble, we have it on the 2-day, the 4-hour, and the 2-hour. Pretty big spot here for Google. The recent highs and the spot gamma call wall right here around that 180. So on the 2-day squeeze, we have the white dots. If they can take it and keep it above that 180, that 2-day squeeze might fire. That could trigger a move towards 185-ish. So we got the calls here that expire on the 5th of July. I want to play for a push towards that 184, 185. Let me go check the 4-hour. And now the 4-hour chart goes A+. So if that can fire, then they can wake up that daily squeeze. Then they can go wake up that 2-day squeeze. They got to get it and keep it above that 180 first. And then for Amazon, we had to sit through a little pullback here. We got a brand new daily buy signal. And then on the, let me see, 4-hour time frame, it's a pretty solid 4-hour squeeze setting up into next week. So we got the call butterfly on Amazon. And then for Procter & Gamble here, she's been a little bit naughty since I bought it. I bought it around the highs this morning. But the 2-day chart here checks all the boxes, squeeze buy signal, and the white dot. 4-hour squeeze checks all the boxes, and same thing for the 2-hour. So for now, guys, we'll hang on to Procter, we'll hang on to Amazon, and we'll hang on to that Google. I'd love to see Google close above 180. Doesn't guarantee that it explodes next week, but if they can take the call wall from 180 to about 185, then I think we got a nice move lined up. We've got a little profit coming through today, so we'll keep it on here for Google. But for the spreadsheet here, so my whole focus is I want to take the A+ setups in the strongest parts of the market. Lately, that's been big tech, semiconductors, some communications, a little bit of XLY. So what I'm doing here on the spreadsheet is on the indicator, we have the label for the big 3 score. That takes my trend, my trend checklist, my structure checklist, my momentum checklist, takes all those checklists, gives the stock a score based on all that criteria. Best possible score for the bulls will be a 12 out of 12. So what I'm doing from there is on the spreadsheet, I'm taking that score from 5 different time frames: the weekly, the daily, the 4-hour, the 1-hour, and the 30-minute. From those 5 time frames, then I get my total score. Strongest total score will be a 60. And the weakest score, of course, would be a negative 60. So on the indices here, last couple of days or so, there's been a little bit of a change. The last 2 to 3 plus weeks, S&Ps and QQQ, they've been number 1 and number 2. At one point for a few days, they both had the perfect 60. Now we've got a little shift here where the small caps are still kind of sucking wind. They've got a negative 23. The QQQ goes from a positive 60 to a 33. The RSP gets a lot better. S&P's dropped to a 38 and the Dow drops to a 42. What that tells me is potentially there might be a little rotation. Little selling in the semiconductors, maybe a little bit of selling in big tech, rotation into some Dow stocks, rotation into other sectors. If we check the sector ETFs here, again, a pretty good change. Last 2 to 3 weeks, XLK and SMH, they've pretty much had the perfect score. Now the SMH drops down to a 27. XLK drops down to a 34. As of that, when did I do this? As of about an hour ago, the strongest sectors are XLC, XLY, and XLP. So communications, discretionary, and consumer staples. What that tells me is I might want to go look for my setup in XLC, XLY, or XLP. And I definitely don't want to go get long anything in the ARK ETF, utilities, energy, industrials, transports, not even really the financials. So if XLC is a top dog, all right, I can go to something like etfdb.com. I can search for XLC. Then I can look at all the top holdings. What makes up the XLC basket? That would be Meta, Google, Netflix, T-Mobile, EA, AT&T, Verizon, and a few more. The most heavily weighted names would be Meta, Google, and Netflix. So now what I'll do is, all right, if XLC is the king of the hill today, I'll take my squeeze columns, all right, and let me clean this up real quick here. I'll take my squeeze columns, then I'll plug in all the tickers here. All the tickers for the XLC. So we have Google, and I want to see whether or not Google has my A plus setup, whether it be on a lower time frame or a bigger time frame. Right. I know the sector is strong. Can I go take that strong sector, go find a good setup? So Google here we like. That's A plus on the 2-day and the 4-hour. Let's go see if we have anything on Meta. Meta, we've got nothing. No A plus squeeze. Netflix. We had a few in Netflix last week. Nothing at the moment. T-Mobile. Got a nice trade in T-Mobile maybe about a month ago. But right now, no A plus setups. Let's go check on EA Sports. We have one on the 1-hour for EA. So I'm going to get rid of T-Mobile. I'm going to get rid of Netflix. And then we'll check a few more here. AT&T. No A plus. What about Verizon? And nothing on Verizon. So pretty simple. If I want to find an XLC stock to trade, it would be EA Sports on the 1-hour or Google on the 2-day time frame and the 4-hour time frame. Good setups in a strong sector. Let's go check XLY next. XLY gets a 54 out of 60. Very respectable score indeed. All right, XLY. Holdings. Okay, Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot, McDonald's, BKNG, Lowe's, TJ Maxx, Nike, Chipotle, and a few more. So again, I'll take my columns here. And I'll start plugging them in. Amazon. Okay, that one we like. A plus squeeze on the 4-hour time frame. Tesla. Nothing here in Tesla, so I get rid of it. Home Depot. Home Depot's got nothing. McDonald's. Nothing for McDonald's. We can check BKNG. And BKNG has one here on the weekly. So we keep BKNG. We keep Amazon. We get rid of McDonald's. And then we'll check a few more. Lowe's and TJ Maxx. Nobody home on TJ Maxx and nobody home on Lowe's. So there we go. I got a few picks. If I want to trade an XLY stock, I can look at Amazon on the 4-hour, or I can look at BKNG on the weekly. If I want to go trade an XLC stock, I'm mainly going to watch Google. So that's the the usefulness of the spreadsheet. The danger could be, take something like the ARK ETF. It's got a terrible score of 54, negative 54. So what I want to avoid is, I'm doing my scans, I'm looking for setups, and then I find a great setup for calls on a stock in the ARK ETF. Right, might be a good looking setup. Might check all the boxes. If it's not in the strongest sector, doesn't mean that trade can't work, but it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. So that is that. So for all of you with the indicators, what I'm going to do for you this weekend, I'll record a video as far as the process of putting together the spreadsheet. We'll take that video and we'll put that somewhere on the indicator page. I'll also teach that in the upcoming class, but I'll do something as far as a pre-recorded video today, and we'll get that on the get that on the website for you ASAP. But aside from that, guys, anything you want to look at, any questions? I am here to hang out for a bit. Let me go check my Google. All right, Google, 180 on the dot. That's the spot, guys. If they can break it out above 180, I think you're getting 184, 185. And potentially pretty quickly. If they can't break out that 180, then it's a bit more of the same. The old chop. What else we got here? Microsoft on the weekly. I want to buy some Microsoft. Pretty big spot here at 450. If they can fire that weekly squeeze, I think Microsoft sees 465-ish. So I'd love to buy that on a little pullback. What else we got? Tesla, nothing. Apple, Netflix, Meta. I'll check my other watch list real quick. Let me see. A couple of shorts, actually. Believe it or not, the rare short. Mondelez, UPS, and XEL. There's Mondelez looking a bit ugly. UPS and XEL. No bull setups. Very disappointing. Procter and Gamble, 4-hour. Yeah, it's Procter, Amazon, and Google. As far as what I'm seeing for now. But all right, let me jump in the chat and see what you guys and gals have got. Yeah, Raphael. So at some point this afternoon, you should get an email from Simpler and from TradingView for the update or the addition here to the indicators. I don't have the exact time, but I know the last time we did the update, I think the email went out around 4 o'clock or so. So you should get that at some point today. Let me pull up Goog here. Do I have delayed data? Not that I'm aware of, no. I would hope not. I've got Google trading at 179.90. Tony, question for you. Perfect example is today with PG. We got in because we had the A plus multi timeframes, including daily. But as of now, we just lost a daily A plus. What is our process? Yeah, so good question, Tony. So when we bought Procter and Gamble, I should have a screenshot here. Let me see. Well, that's Google. Let me go find the screenshot. All right, there we go. So yeah, when we bought Procter and Gamble this morning, we had the A plus setups on the 2-day time frame, the daily time frame, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour. So it's a lot like Netflix from last Thursday. Now, after a little flush here, I'll pull it up over here. Now, after a little flush, we only have an A plus setup on the 2-day time frame and the 4-hour time frame, meaning we lost a few soldiers. We had 4 A plus squeezes. Now we only have 2. So best case scenario, they all fire immediately, right? Just like Netflix. When we lose a few of them, then it's more of a context thing. You know, am I getting a bunch of sell signals? And so far, I'm not getting really any. I've got one here on the 15-minute. The setup's not getting crushed. We're not getting a bunch of sell signals. We are still well above the daily 21 EMA. A lot of times, that's a good line in the sand. Are we above or below that daily 21? And then on our 2-hour or 2-day time frame, rather, nothing changes here. Right, still remains a really good setup. And then same could be said for the 4-hour. So again, when you lose a few of your A plus signals, it becomes a context thing. Am I getting, big 1-hour, 4-hour sell signals? Are we taking out the 21 EMA? My preference, of course, is when I buy it, it breaks out immediately. But that's what I'll hang on to for now. So long as the 4-hour chart and the 2-day chart still fit all that criteria. All right, Google back to 180. You got everyone and their mama watching Google up here at 180-ish. Can always make for an interesting spot. Scotty says Spotify on the 1-hour. So I've got spot on the 30-minute. 30-minute squeeze. The buy signal, the white dot. It's pretty solid. The spot is solid. Let me just real quick check the indices here. Don't forget, today's expiration day. Right? A really big expiration. So there could be room for some shenanigans towards the close here. Let's see, S&P's. Little drift here. QQQ. Yeah, it's impressive to see Google up 2%, while the QQQ is down a quarter. That would tell me that next week, if the QQQ can catch a bid, then Google can really get that breakout. She gets a little wind at her back there. Butcher, VITL. Yeah, let's go check it out. VITL. So you've got a few squeezes, a daily, 4-hour, 1-hour, and 15-minute. None for now that would be what I would call the A plus setup. If anything, they're a little bit more neutral. Right? Not overly bullish, not overly bearish. It is a setup in progress. Aliko, great question. So is it right to think that shorting something in ARK, might be a good idea here? I mean, yeah, put it this way. If there's anything out there to short, I don't think it would be the semiconductors. Even though they might pull back, that's a beautiful chart. Structure is bullish, momentum is bullish. You've got the buy signal. I'd want to go short the weakling. Right, the weakling for that would be the ARK ETF. We've got a few sell signals. We've got the squeeze setting up here. We got a squeeze on the 2-day time frame. Now you are at some big support here. The 2-day 200 SMA. But if they can break that 200, then I think, yeah, you can catch a nice flush here. You've also got that 3-day squeeze setting up. So she's got some compression to her. And the indicator says for now it's a short. So with that being said, if we go back to ETF DB, and then we go look at the ARK components, the Kathy Wood special, Tesla, Coinbase, Roku, Roblox, Square, CRSP, Hood, and Palantir. All right, so I'll take those names, and I'll start dropping them over here. Coinbase. Down a healthy 5% today, but no A plus setup. Roku. No A plus for Roku. Roblox. Nothing for Roblox. Square's got nothing. CRSP. I'm striking out here so far. Hood. And we'll check Palantir. At the moment, I've got nothing, so it might be the weakest sector. But I want to take that weakness. I want to trade my go-to setup. So for now, I'm sitting back waiting for that setup. In a Roku, in a Roblox. Pretty much wherever we can get it. But again, I would say for ARK here, it's at a pretty big level of support. 200 SMA from the 2-day time frame. Meaning it might be an easier short, from here on an actual break of that level. They break it, she can dump. The ARK dumper. Sergio, I do not use extended hours. I do for the futures, but not for the equities. How does MMM score on the daily? Triple M. This gets in 8 out of 12. So pretty bullish, respectable. Let me go check the 2-day. 2-day squeeze gets a 10. 4-hour squeeze gets the perfect score. On my system, the 4-hour chart would be the A plus setup. Therefore, we got the white dots. Let's go see. Do we have the white dots on the 2-hour? Even better. We got them on the 2-hour. We've got them on the 1-hour. We've got them on the 30-minute, and we've got them on the 15-minute. So that's pretty damn solid, actually. Triple M. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 time frames, all setting up the A plus squeeze. Very solid. Very, very solid. And they're doing that in the context of a pretty good looking daily squeeze as well. So that, of course, does not hurt. All right, a few more here, and then I'll jump over to YouTube. Scotty, thoughts on ECL? ECL, A plus squeeze on the 4-hour. Right, we'll take our context here from the daily, and the daily is perfect. Score of 12, as bullish as could be, so drop down to the 4-hour. And I've got to like it. Squeeze, buy signals, the white dot, perfect score. A plus. Good looking 4-hour squeeze. All right, Mitch, my man Mitch had Broadcom. Nothing at the moment on Broadcom, but selfishly, being selfish here, I'd love a pullback. I'd love a pullback to eventually buy some Broadcom. Now, if we check the weekly here, we had the white dots. The squeeze fired after earnings. As a general statement, that should bode well for more continuation higher. Good squeeze can last anywhere from 8 to 10 bars. On Broadcom here, we're only about 2 bars in. So a little pullback here I think makes for a good spot to reload on some calls. But at the moment, no A plus setups. And then what else do we have there? Let me see. MEX and ARGT. On MEX, you have the 15-minute, and on ARGT, 4-hour squeeze in a sell signal. That might be an A plus short pretty soon. All right, I'm going to jump over here to YouTube, see if we got any questions over there. Let me check my Google. Let me check my Amazon. A little dip here in the Zon. And then we got Proctor. All right. Hey, Peter, what about BAC? Okay, so for BAC, if we go check the spreadsheet here, XLF gets a 24 out of 60. Not bearish, but also not super bullish. Not as strong as XLC, XLY, or XLP. So not a bad sector, but not leadership. Not quite the top dog. So if we then go check BAC, we've had a few squeezes setting up here for a while. What I think is holding BAC back is just the sector. We've got BAC with a score of 10, while the XLF here has a score of 5. JP Morgan has a score of 1. Morgan Stanley gets a score of 1. Citigroup gets a score of -6. The point being, BAC has been solid. The group it belongs to and the other stocks in that group, they're not setting up in the best fashion. And I think until that changes, I can really hold BAC back. So then the understanding is BAC might give you the white dot. It'd be a much better trade and a much easier trade if you also had the alignment in the sector. So if I'm doing my job, for the most part, I want to watch consumer. I want to watch communications. I want to watch XLY. I want to watch a little XLP. BAC could be a little tougher now. But if we get rotation at some point, then I think it could all work nicely here. 4 hour and a daily squeeze. Google on the 4 hour. So Google, let me check the 4 hour. So with the high of day, this was A+. On the little dip here, it's no longer A+. We have to get that momentum cross. And if they can get the 4 hour momentum cross here on Google, then I think they can take out 180. It's from the ground up. That's kind of the missing piece here. They've got that big 2-day squeeze. They've got that daily squeeze. Now the 4 hour squeeze here, that can trigger a bigger purpose or serve a bigger purpose. If they can get that momentum cross and then the 4 hour squeeze fires, if they can take out 180, then we can get that domino effect. All right, the 4 hour squeeze fires first. Then they can work on firing the daily squeeze. If the daily squeeze fires, there's a pretty good chance they're also going to fire that 2-day squeeze. That's where you can really get a nice outsized move. Think T-Mobile from about a month ago. Weekly, 3-day, 2-day squeeze, daily squeeze, 4 hour, 2 hour, and boom, off they went. So nobody for the addition or the update here for TradingView. Again, that should get sent out today. When that gets published, you'll get an email from TradingView telling you the indicator is live. So again, you should get that at some point here today. Okay, so Mr. Splackavelli, good question. So on the original squeeze, when you're looking at the histogram, and I'll throw it on for you here. On the OG squeeze, when you have the light blue bars, that means momentum is bullish and increasing. All right, you're above the 0 line and you're on the up and up. So bull momentum and increasing. When you have the dark blue bars, it's still bull momentum, right? You're still above the 0 line, but now momentum is slightly declining. When we have the red bars, it's the opposite. Red bar below the 0 line, momentum is bearish and increasing. Increasing in the favor of the bulls. And then on the yellow bar there, momentum still bearish, but it's on the up and up. So that bear momentum might be hitting a point of exhaustion, so to say. Those are all the different colors there. And yeah, Bobby Tiger Boy, the watch list columns are proprietary, and they're part of the Big 3 squeeze system on the Simpler website. Pimp Pop, what's up, Pimp Pop? Can the indicator be used on the S&P sectors? Yeah, definitely. If you're asking, can we take these setups on the ETFs? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the indices themselves. You check out the SPX here from about a week or so ago. We had the white dots here on the daily squeeze. Right. That kicked off a nice push. QQQ over here on the weekly. We had the squeeze, we had the white dots for a few weeks, and then a big push towards the highs. And then if we go check, say, XLP on the 2-day time frame. We currently have the 2-day squeeze and the white dots. So yeah, you can definitely use these on the ETFs. And a lot of times, if you have a good setup in the ETF, you've kind of covered all the bases. Meaning you're getting exposure to whatever might be in that one group. All right, folks, a couple more questions here, and then we will call it an afternoon. SP, yes, I'm still working on the scans, but the scans will be for the big three squeeze, yes. Jasper, there is a typo in the new watch list code. Hashtag in the middle of the code. All right, Jasper, let me I'll take a note of that and I'll check it out for you. Error in middle of watch list code. I appreciate the heads up. I'll check that out right away. Tony, we have a -12 on the NQ and ES 5-minute charts. Would I take them for a day trade? If they have the setup. So for me, here's the difference. All right, we have a score of -12, which tells me trend, structure, momentum, etc. Pretty supportive of more downside. So I've got all the bear criteria, but what I don't have here is my setup. The setup being the white dot squeeze. You'll notice how I had the white dot back here. Right? That gives me a foundation, that gives me something to work with. I find that white dot, I short it under the 5-minute 21, I play for a move down towards my squeeze target, or I cut the trade for a loss and a move above that 5-minute 21. Right? It's the same trade I take over and over again. And right here, right now, we don't have the squeeze or the white dot. So the score tells me I can't get long. The score tells me, yeah, I can look for a short, but I only look for the short when I get that white dot in the squeeze. Then I can find my spot to try to take advantage of the weakness here. If you go check the NQ, five-minute chart's pretty weak, right? We're getting a -12. But again, I've got no squeeze. If I get the squeeze and I've got a -12, then I can look for the short. So it's a matter of figuring out what's the path of least resistance, and then trying to play in that path of least resistance with edge from the setup. But yeah, we're getting the little OpEx flush here. Google holds up good. A little bounce here for the Proctor Doctor. Amazon was a little cooler, up 1%. I'll admit it. But Amazon holds up pretty good here. And yeah, we got what? 2 hours left. Shall not be a dull 2 hours. And yeah, Tony, I like the cleaner view. So, we have the labels as part of the system. So we can put the labels on the charts. And that's pretty much our entire checklist. That's everything that goes into the white dot. If we take Google here on the 2-day time frame, all right, why am I getting that white dot? Because I have the squeeze, I've got the buy signal, I've got the perfect score of 12, I've got bull trend, I've got bull structure, I've got bull momentum, and I've got price above the trailing stop. So all those different things all that criteria for the A plus squeeze. Now that shows up there in the white dot. So we can keep the labels on our charts. I can check the trend, I can check the structure, I can check momentum. But as far as, hey, I'm looking for a trade here, if I don't have the white dot, I don't have the trade. That means on my checklist labels, something's missing. It might be a trend problem. Structure might not be perfect. Momentum might not be bullish. At the end of the day, I don't really care what it is. If it ain't perfect, it ain't perfect. Diana, what is a trailing stop? So if you go to study set on Thinkorswim and you type in ATR trailing stop, even with the default settings, if you throw that on your chart, I'll change the view here, make it a little easier to see. Whoops. Give me 1 second. All right, let me do this. Do that. Okay, so if you throw the default ATR trailing stop on your chart, to me, it's another path of least resistance thing. Not what I would call the end all be all, but one more helpful gauge for, are we bullish? Are we bearish? Would it be easier to catch a move higher or easier to catch a move lower? So as a general statement, if price is above the trailing stop, such as Google here on the 2-day time frame, again, not the end all be all, but one little piece of the puzzle, that tells me Google might have an easier time trending higher. If we compare that to, say, the daily chart for AMD, actually AMD is above the trailing stop. But you'll notice all throughout back here, when it was below that trailing stop, it had a much, much easier time trending lower. Now you get that positive shift, price is above the trailing stop, and they might be fighting to put in the bottom here. If I look at Google on the 4-hour time frame, we just got a positive shift of that trailing stop. So, like I said, it's not it's not everything, but I do think one helpful indication of short-term path of least resistance. Not the end all be all, but a useful tool. So, Tony, for the new update, it's all one indicator, or one file rather. The white dot and the 2 labels up here, that's all the same indicator, the same study. All you got to do is download that one. All right, Google is sniffing out 180 again. She's got 180 right up on her snout here. Admittedly, with a green or a red QQQ, tough to think that Google actually gets a breakout today. Now, I'm not going to complain, of course. So I would gladly take the breakout. But this is this is good strength here in the face of QQQ down about a third. Not a big move down, of course, but red is red, as they say. Sergio, do I use ready aim fire? It's a great indicator, I think, for a certain style of trading. Personally, I found for my system, a squeeze focus system, it didn't provide too much edge. Where I think the ready aim fire is, pretty fantastic. Trying to call for a reversion to the mean. We find a daily chart. The chart is 3-4 ATR above the 21 EMA. And then we get the ready aim fire sell signal. That can be a nice spot to sell some out the money calls. Bank it on that pullback to that 21 EMA. That's why I think it's a great indicator. Hey, Miss Claudia, how are you? You got Netflix setting up? Netflix was good to us last week. It was so nice, I would like to do it twice. Yeah, she's getting there. Now, the Daily Squeeze just fired, so in a good market, and that's the key word in a good market, you could tend to expect a bit more follow through here. We have the call wall up at $700. There might be a shot for another 15, $20 higher. Let's go check out a few squeezes, shall we? 1 hour squeeze setting up here. Now this one's not A plus, so no white dot. But we're getting pretty close here. We have the squeeze, we have the bull trend, we have the bull structure. If we can get the momentum cross, then we're talking. Same thing here for the 30-minute squeeze. 15-minute squeeze is almost A plus. And we got that good stuff. We got that good stuff here on the 5-minute. $15 for Netflix is not a big move. If the QQQ can go green a bit next week, I think you play for 700. Even 695 would be a nice paycheck. So we got to keep an eye on that Netflix there. Roland wants to take a look at GE. All right, GE. A few squeezes, 3-day, a 2-day, a daily, and the 1 hour. None of them are A plus. So back to the trailing stop discussion. We have a daily squeeze here. My MACD line is still below 0. I don't really have any gas in the tank, and we're below the trailing stop. Doesn't mean GE falls apart. Also doesn't mean GE can't break out and explode next week. But as far as probabilities, I would like to see those two things be a little better. Momentum working in the favor of the bulls with price above that trailing stop. Then they can work on a move towards 175-ish. Carvana. Daily squeeze, not bad, not perfect. They're working on that momentum cross, and we're below the trailing stop. And the 1 hour squeeze here, not bad, but also below that trailing stop. With a little bit of a push, they can turn those into A plus squeezes. Efron, when do my limited offers end for the indicators? If you reach out to the customer service team, they can tell you the exact date, but I'm also sure they can help you out as well. Meaning even if the limited time offer already expired, I've got a pretty good feeling they would still honor that for you. So I would reach out to customer support for the exact number there. And it looks like Mirza dropped the ticker down there. So the ticker, the contact info. And then so Carvana we looked at, and then we'll do a few more here, my good friends. Race Ferrari. I love me a good Ferrari. Anything A plus on Ferrari, not right now. You have a weekly squeeze, a 3-day squeeze, a 2-day squeeze, and a daily squeeze. But on my indicators, they'd be a bit more neutral. Not overly bullish, not overly bearish, a little bit more choppy. below the 50, below the trailing stop, no buy signal. It's about as choppy as it gets with a score of 0. I actually don't think I've seen a 0 before. That might be a first. Yeah, I've got trader brain, I've got webinar brain, I've got Google brain, I've got it all. Hey, Caleb. Caleb wants to take a look at Melly. No way plus squeezes on Melly for now. We can go check the 4-hour squeeze out. 4-hour squeeze leaves a lot to be desired. If I want to get long, if I'm going to nitpick here, momentum is still below 0. I've got price below the trailing stop. I have price below the 21, price below the 50, and prices below the 50. So price under all my key moving averages. And then also the structure of the moving averages. If I want to buy calls on a 4-hour squeeze, I want those 3 moving averages to look like this. 21 EMA above the 50, 50 SMA above the 200, 21 EMA trending higher, 50 trending higher, and that 200 also trending higher. Does not guarantee the squeeze explodes, but the structure and the trend, they are working in the favor of the bulls. So in comparison, going back to Melly here, we don't have that same trend and structure that would support a move higher. 21 under the 200, 200 under the 50. You've got the 50 trending lower, 200 trending lower. Doesn't make it the perfect short, but as a general statement, it would make it a bit of a tough long until they can clean up those structure problems. All right, come on, Procter & Gamble. Show the world what you've got. We've got faith in you. Yeah, I think 0 is supernatural. The perfect name for an iron condor. All right, a few more. Hershey's. 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute squeeze for Hershey's. And I don't have the white dot. So I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't short it. With that being said, it does lean a little bit more bearish, though. Trend label is red. Structure label is red. We are below the trailing stop. I've got a score of -10. So until that changes, in the 1 hour squeeze, path of least resistance for now definitely points towards the downside. And then same thing here for the 30-minute. Doesn't have all my bear criteria, so I'm not getting the white dot, but it's a bit more bearish. That one's for the bears. All right, ACN and crowd. Crowd, you've got one here on the weekly. Now check this out. We bought some calls in crowd back here. Notice I never got my white dot. And rightfully so, I took a small loss. No white dot, no trade. Now we can find the white dot here on the weekly. It's a good-looking weekly squeeze that, mind you, hasn't even fired to the upside yet, which would imply as a bigger picture point of view, there could be room for a lot more upside. The only thing I don't love would be the entry. It's a great-looking weekly squeeze, but to really work a good risk reward, I want to buy it a little closer to my 21 EMA. With that approach, a much better entry would have been throughout back here. I can buy it above that 21 EMA. I can dump the trade if they break the 21 EMA, and if the squeeze fires, I could catch a push towards 400 bucks. So I'm buying it at 315-ish, 315, 320. I can take it off at 300, and I might catch an $80 push towards the $400 target. That's some great risk reward. If I come in here and buy it today, now that risk reward skewed a bit negatively. I buy it at 370. I might catch a $30 push, or I'm catching a $50, $60 pullback all the way down to the buy zone. Now I'm on the wrong side. So very much like Microsoft, if I can get that pullback to my weekly 21, then I can pull the trigger on Microsoft and Crowd. She's got the setup, not quite the entry. All right, let's bang out a few more here. ACN, you have a 5-minute neutral squeeze. So not too much on that one right now. BTI. And no way plus squeeze here on BTI. Neutral weekly squeeze. Stonksky. On Triple M, what time frame would I anchor to? And what time frame would be my trigger? So that's a great question. In a situation like this, where I've got a 4-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour, 30-minute, 15-minute squeeze, A plus squeeze rather, it's a matter of personal preference, really. And then a matter whether or not I'm thinking a bit more day trade or a bit more swing trade. If I'm thinking more day trade, I'll probably take the 15-minute, 30-minute squeeze. Try to nail a good entry. And then just play the 15-minute or the 30-minute squeeze into the upside target. You go check the 15-minute. I'm buying the 15-minute squeeze. I'm playing for a push towards 102.70-ish. If I want to day trade it, or if I want to swing trade it rather, I can still anchor to my lower time frame. Bigger picture, I've got this 2-day squeeze, and my 2-day squeeze has a target of about 107. Okay, cool. If I'm a swing trader, I might be playing for a move towards 107. I can then take the 1-hour squeeze, take my entry for that bigger move, and then work a really tight risk with my stop under that 1-hour 21. Right, so I can trade the hourly squeeze as my way to get positioned for that 2-day squeeze. Then think of my risk reward. I buy it at 102. I could take it off down here around 101.50-ish. Let's say I'm risking $1. I've got $1 of risk, and then boom, if the 1-hour squeeze fires, and the 2-hour squeeze fires, the 4-hour, the daily, if they can go wake up that 2-day squeeze, I can potentially catch a move towards 107. So best case scenario, I'm risking maybe $1 to make 4 or 5. Even as a swing trader, I can go nail my entry when I've got that low time frame squeeze. So good question there. All right, couple more. Waleed, my good friend, Qualcomm. Ooh, let's check that one out. Brand new daily squeeze and the brand new white dot here for Qualcomm on the daily. Very interesting. And yeah, we're right up on that trailing stop. It's a brand new daily squeeze. Not only that, the SMH here still has a little room to pull back to its own daily 21. But I think with Qualcomm here, watch that daily squeeze develop. Maybe that gets another 2, 3, 4 bars into the squeeze. And if the SMH can rebound, that might be a spot for a great entry. Great call out there, Waleed. Nathan, how do I use a trailing stop once I enter a position? Great question, Nathan. So the traditional approach would be, if I'm buying Google here and I'm playing the 30-minute time frame, I'll throw on the trailing stop again. All right, trailing stop. All right, so let me change the settings to my settings. Let me make it a little bit tighter. Let me see. Big 3 squeeze, 9, 2.4. All right, so I personally use a period of 9, a factor of 2.4, and average type exponential. ATR period 9, factor of 2.4, average type exponential. Okay, so the traditional approach, if you're using, just the ATR trailing stop, if I found Google here earlier on the 2-hour squeeze, I got my white dot and I bought some Google. The traditional approach would be, I'm going to ride the wave here. I'm going to hold on to my Google calls so long as we're above the trailing stop. So long as price holds above the blue line. At any point we come down and break that blue line, and then price ends up under the trailing stop, then you would take off that trade. And that can be a useful approach. Like I said, for me, the trailing stop is a bit more of a path of least resistance thing, as opposed to the common function of an actual stop. It's one part of my system I take into consideration to try to get a gauge of, are we really bullish? Are we really bearish? Could the squeeze I'm watching potentially fire to the upside? But you can also use it for your exit as well. All right, I'm going to trash talk Google real quick. Hey, Google. There is 0% chance you can take out 180 today. I don't believe you can do it. And yeah, James, bingo. The white dot is the label. Yep. So 3 different spots for the A+ setup. Okay. I'll find them on my watch list columns. I'll find them in the form of the white dot, or I'll find them in the label over here in the top right-hand corner or left-hand corner. Like I said, the labels down here are cool, and that's all the criteria, right? The 15 different data points. But for the sake of taking good trades and finding good trades, I can just watch the white dot. A little bit cleaner. It just kind of simplifies the entire process. All right, Proctor's trying to wake up here. All right, Proctor has him on the 2-day time frame, the daily, the 4-hour, and now we're getting him again here on the 2-hour. Okay, Proctor, if you want to be a good boy, why don't we take out the highs here before the close? Why don't we go do that? Okay, one more look here at Microsoft on the 15-minute. And then I've got to record my newsletter video. Microsoft on the 15, and there she blows. Squeeze, buy signal, white dot. All the boxes getting checked off. Here's where we get in a little divergence, so to say. 15-minute on Microsoft. It's got the perfect squeeze. All right, before I jump in here and pull the trigger, I want to go check the sector and the index. So I checked the 15-minute for XLK, and that one has a sell signal. So I've got Microsoft here with a perfect score of 12. And then I've got XLK here with a score of -4. I've got QQQ with a 15-minute score of -6. And then the S&P 500 with a -6. Then I can go check the internals. Are we getting ticks all day long up here at 5, 600, 800, 1,000? Do we have the advanced decline up here at good, strong readings? Well, at the very moment, we have the ticks hanging out under 0. We have the advanced decline under 0. I've got crappy scores on the 15-minute chart for XLK, QQQ, and the SPX. So what does that mean? It means that Microsoft, all by itself, might have a good-looking 15-minute squeeze. The best trades always take place. You've got all the wind at your back. You found an A+ setup. The internals support a push higher. The index supports a push higher. Indexes. And the sector your stock belongs to also supports a push higher. And sure, bigger time frame wise, XLK, QQQ, they're as bullish as possible. But in the here and the now, for the sake of a 15-minute squeeze, I would go check the other 15-minute time frames. If they all looked just as good as Microsoft, then that can work pretty quickly, and it can potentially work in a big fashion. If you don't have the same alignment, it could work, but it could be a little trickier. A little bit trickier as well. My target on PG, let's pull the bad boy up here. The one nice thing about PG, the options are pretty cheap and the implied volatility is pretty low. With the IV being pretty low, even a move towards 170, that'd kick back a nice return on the IV expansion. But the daily squeeze calls for about $1.73. The 2-day squeeze calls for the same, $1.73, and the 4-hour squeeze calls for about 172. So anywhere from 172 to 173-ish. That ought to do the trick. Not a bad little rebound here. Would like to see it close at the highs, but wouldn't we all? And yeah, Tony, when the email gets sent out for the update, you can then go find them on the My Indicator page on Simpler. There should be a brand new tab for the white dot. But then also go to the scans, watchlist columns, and share chart links document at the bottom of that page. I've also got the updated flex grid for you. Pimp Pop. Let me go grab the link for you here. And you can check it out. One moment. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm looking. I think I'm ready for a good nap. Okay, here we go. Here's a link. So I'll grab this for you. I'll put it in the chat. I'll do one more walkthrough of my open trades, and then we'll call it a Friday. Okay, link for the upcoming class. Okay, finally got it. My goodness. Okay, Pimp Pop, there is the link for you right there. I've got you. But all right, so for those of you in my room, we've got 3 open trades. And assuming nothing drastic happens over the next hour and a half, I intend to hold all of the 3 trades. Amazon coming off a little bit here, but we've got the 200 qualify for July on the Zon. And we got the weekly squeeze, the 3-day squeeze, the 2-day squeeze. And we have the A+ squeeze here. Scared the crap out of me. Where are you? Hold on a second. Where are you going? All right. I just got carjacked. My wife came in and took the keys. She's going grocery shopping, so therefore I need Googled up like 5%. But Amazon, we got the white dots here on the 4-hour, and then on the big Google, we have the white dots on the 2-day time frame and the 4-hour time frame. And like I said, it's all about that 180. They can take it and keep it above 180. Then they can start to fire all the squeezes here. Daily squeeze says look for about 185. And the 2-day squeeze gives you pretty much the same target. So through 180, look for a move towards that 185-ish. And then for Procter and Gamble, we've got the white dots on the 2-day, daily, 4-hour, and 2-hour time frames. And on a breakout here, we are looking for 172 to about 173-ish. And then as always, we'll see what else comes our way for next week. But all right, folks, have a great weekend. Be safe. Try to catch some sunshine. If you got a dog, take your dog for a few walks. And we'll get back to it next Monday. Right back to it. And for those of you in my mastery, I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central for the weekend prep session. So have a great weekend. Thank you for all your time and effort this week, and I'll talk to y'all very soon.